The site of Vienna in the spring of 1961 is that of an historic city fully recovered from the ravages of World War II. The capital of Austria, whose independence and neutrality was guaranteed by the great powers in the Austrian State Treaty of 1955. Now, in the spring of 1961, Vienna offered its hospitality for a personal meeting between two world leaders against a background of historic landmarks. This was the scene at Vienna's airport when President Kennedy's plane arrived on the morning of Saturday, June 3rd. The world, beset by problems of Berlin and Laos, nuclear testing and disarmament, looked to Vienna as the President of the United States arrived, greeted by Austrian President Adolf Scherff and Chancellor Alphonse Gorbach. President Kennedy himself described his mission to Vienna.
I went to Vienna to meet the leader of the Soviet Union, Mr. Khrushchev. For 2 days, we met in sober, intensive conversation. Mr. Khrushchev and I had a very full and frank exchange of views on the major issues that now divide our two countries. I wanted to present our views to him directly, precisely, realistically, and with an opportunity for discussion and clarification. This was done.
As President Kennedy said in his report, this was not a summit meeting, but rather an informal exchange of views and a way of keeping open the channels of communication between the United States and the Soviet Union. One topic of discussion was the serious situation in Laos, of increasing concern to the peoples of the world. By its actions, the Soviet Union would have to show whether it supported a satisfactory settlement in Laos, where communist-backed factions were continuing hostilities against the royal government. President Kennedy reported a measure of agreement in Vienna.
Both sides endorsed the concept of a neutral and independent Laos, much in the manner of Burma or Cambodia. And of critical importance to the current conference on Laos in Geneva, both sides recognized the importance of an effective ceasefire.
The second meeting was held at the Soviet embassy. President Kennedy expressed America's desire for effective nuclear test controls and a disarmament agreement. Mr. Khrushchev's insistence on a Soviet veto over controls and on having disarmament precede inspection led Mr. Kennedy to express his disappointment.
In short, our hopes for an end to nuclear tests, for an end to the spread of nuclear weapons, and for some slowing down of the arms race have been struck a serious blow. But our most somber talks were on the subject of Germany in Berlin. I made it clear to Mr. Khrushchev that the security of Western Europe, and therefore our own security, are deeply involved in our presence and our access rights to West Berlin. But those rights are based on law, not on sufferance, and that we are determined to maintain those rights at any risk, and thus meet our obligation to the people of West Berlin and their right to choose their own future.
President Kennedy himself drew the balance of his 2-day meeting with Chairman Khrushchev.
I will tell you now that it was a very sober 2 days. There was no discourtesy, no loss of tempers, no threats or ultimatums by either side. No advantage or concession was either gained or given. No major decision was either planned or taken. No spectacular progress was either achieved or pretended.